Hey guys, this is Victor, and I'm here with Jared Weiss, who's actually going to interview me and ask me the big question. Um, what's the truth about extraterrestrial beings and other beings, etc.? What's real, what's not, what are the fiction, etc. So take it away, Jared. How do you want to start this?
Hey guys, Jared Weiss back with another video on the Jared and James channel. If you guys didn't know, that must mean that you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know what you guys think of this video, let me know your thoughts. So anyways, for today's video, I'm actually joined by my naturopath who's been helping me out for the past few years, Victor Cozzetto. And we actually already filmed the video several months ago. But from today's video, we're gonna be talking about this idea of what extraterrestrial beings actually are, and also whether or not we've been lied to, when it comes to the whole Hollywood production and Star Wars stuff. We're gonna be talking about beings beyond Antarctica. We're gonna be talking about one of these channelers, who's known as Bashar. So we're gonna be getting into some really deep stuff today. Where do you think we should actually start this whole conversation?
That's a good question. Let's see. You mentioned Star Wars.
Right.
So I'll mention I have heard probably the closest science fiction we have to the truth would be Star Trek in a very general way, not with all the
Right.
crazy sci-fi
Right.
tales, but the idea that there are all of these different species, this kind of
Right.
galactic federation.
Right. Well, speaking with maybe one interesting way to start this conversation would be are you actually familiar with some of these ideas that are out there when it comes to the findings of Admiral Byrd, as well as Captain Cook, when it comes to size of land beyond Antarctica. I mean, how the actual aliens or the actual extraterrestrial beings aren't actually coming from above us, and they're not here to attack us, but how there actually could be more land beyond Antarctica, there could be other continents out there, there could be other civilizations out there.
Okay, all right, so that's a lot of
Yeah,
questions,
yeah, yeah.
right?
It's
So
a
I
lot.
have
Yeah.
I have answers to all of those
All right.
points that you
Awesome.
just made.
Hmm.
So in short, yes, there are all different kinds of beings coming from everywhere you just mentioned. There are previous civilizations that we are not aware of, that we think are mythological,
Right.
right? For example, Atlantis, right? Atlantis is real. That was a very advanced civilization. They did destroy themselves. Okay. So we can dive into that later, but
Yeah.
I'll run through some quick things. Yes, there are extraterrestrial bases uh, in Antarctica and other places around the Earth. There are, I forgot the exact number, but somewhere between 10 and 20 species keep a permanent residence
Wow.
on our planet and they remain hidden from us, but they're all over the place.
That's crazy.
And there are many, many, many more that visit every now and again.
Right.
Many more.
Right.
And I don't know that exact number. To give you another number, though, we Earth is part of a galactic federation that includes more than 500 different species or beings, different, however you want to use that, right? So that's another number. You mentioned again about ancient cultures. There are
Right.
many ancient cultures that were here on Earth before us.
Well, I'm speaking with one of my questions would actually be are you familiar with that of giants actually being here I'm actually living amongst humans, especially especially because like when you actually look into like some of this old world like architecture. I don't know like if you're familiar with the idea like of like this country like that was actually on like the map years ago, like can call them Tartaria. And so like interestingly enough, like much just old world architecture we're actually told wasn't built by people like who are on horse and buggy and stuff. Like a lot of like doesn't actually add up, like and like doesn't make sense, like because some of these mobile buildings, cathedrals, like were like incredibly built, and also going along those same lines, like some of the doors to enter into these places like are like huge. So like one of the potential explanations out there, like once again, I wasn't there during the time, so like I have no way of knowing. But like I've heard like some interesting theories, like with regards to size, like giants like actually built these massive places.
Right. So you have actually, in many situations, we have kind of a mix of myth and truth.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, so for example, yes, there were kind of giants here, people much larger than
Right.
us. And then a lot of that gets carried down only as myth, right? Once it falls from active memory, it continues to get passed on. And some
Right.
structures continue to be built in certain ancient cultures, even though there were no giants among them at that time. But in different periods, in different places, there were beings much larger than us. Um, and there still are. I mean, um, we are visited by some beings that are much taller than us, but wouldn't classify as giant, right? So it's that that's kind of a simple question, but it becomes complex because of different people interpret the word giant in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? So basically, any being, like if something is 9 or 10 feet tall, that's a giant, right? That's
Right.
beyond normal human size.
Mm-hmm. Well, like
That,
speaking of which, what are your thoughts like on says like Sasquatch? Like
okay, now that is a great question. So first of all, Sasquatch is absolutely real, and there are a couple of very important things about that. I'm not sure which one will be more shocking to you. Just saying it's real is shocking enough.
right, yeah,
But I'll give you another shocking thing. Why don't we catch or see Sasquatch? Why can't we validate it? The reason is because Sasquatch has evolved to a higher level being than we have. They just pass into a higher dimension and they become invisible to us.
that's really
Mayans
interesting.
basically did the same thing. The Mayans basically vanished. They basically disappeared.
Right,
Not all of them. Some of them stayed and integrated and spread. But this is one of the basic things about Sasquatch. So they evolved in a different way. And so they can just easily avoid us. And this is how many other beings and extraterrestrials avoid us. They just disappear from our physical 3D or 4D space time. They just go into a higher dimension.
that's super interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So it really is for beings that have that ability. It's pretty incredible. Now, as shocking as that is, uh, something that's more shocking, it might be hard for people to understand, is Sasquatch is actually the indigenous hominid of this planet. We are not.
Wow.
But we come from the same root, meaning as you go back, the Anunnaki,
Right.
right? So most people are familiar with that myth or legend. That is true. Uh, at least
Wait,
300,000.
wait, wait. I'm so like, sorry to cut you off. But would you mind first off explaining what the Anunnaki actually are for the listeners like
Oh, yes,
familiar?
right. So the Anunnaki is another ancient, very ancient alien race, extraterrestrial race, not native to Earth. I forgot the star system where they're from exactly, but they're a very ancient being. And they came to Earth and they took what was then Sasquatch and modified the DNA to create Homo sapien.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that original Sasquatch, of course, continued its own evolution, and then Homo sapien. So we diverged from that point when the Anunnaki came to make those changes. And so the Sasquatch evolved much differently than we did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not malintent. So I should have stated this at the beginning. There is no malintent.
Right.
Nobody came here to enslave us, etc. It
Wait,
doesn't mean
like once again, sorry to cut you off, but like I was just curious, like, do you think like maybe it's possible, like like this whole like portrayal of these other species, trying to like enslave us, like trying to take over our world, like could that actually be this way of like creating all this like fear like in us, like and like maybe could this be this way of like trying to create like this whole one world government, like especially because I don't know if you're familiar with like one of these government speeches like several years ago. I'm pretty sure like it was actually Ronald Reagan like most of like something along the lines of like when we actually need this alien invasion like and to like to create this whole one world government and then like speaking with I don't know if you're familiar with him Werner von Braun and like towards the end of his life like he actually spoke about like of like how like the government like was gonna fake this whole alien invasion as a way of like creating this whole like one world government.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Dr. Greer has been speaking about that for a long time with his coalition. If you're familiar with Dr. Greer and his work, so yeah, that is what's going on. Is it's humans that we need to be concerned about, and they are leveraging the fear to control us, as they do. It's typical, right, with
Right.
everything, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's disease. So the alien
Right.
idea is it's just another fear-mongering
Hmm.
tool, and that is escalating rapidly now, which is why I'm speaking out.
Right.
Right. So I decided I cannot keep silent any longer, because I have information that is indisputable that I've been in touch with for many years. And I know there's nothing to fear, and people need to understand that. And I don't really promote the work of Dr. Greer and others, because I don't want to kind of amplify the fear on that end. I
Right.
don't want to make us afraid of the humans,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's a tricky balance, right?
Right.
Whether we're being attacked by aliens or being
Or
attacked
attacked
by
by
humans.
humans. It's yeah, like that's like one of the hard things. Like when it comes like creating awareness, like as opposed to fear. I mean, like speaking which, like that's actually one of my favorite things. Like when it comes to your approach to health and in general. So like you're not about like ignoring any of these dangers out there. But, like in the same breath, like it comes, so like you're actually about awareness, like but then also like empowering people like with like certain tools to overcome them. Whereas like a lot of people out there like are basically either ignoring them willfully, or on the other hand, like a lot of people like are just like like telling you like oh like all that stuff like is totally made up or whatever. But like I honestly feel like the best approach like is actually your way, which is like awareness, but then also like giving people like tools to empower themselves over these
Right.
things.
Right, exactly. Be prepared, not scared.
Right.
Yeah. So right, the wellness thing is a great example, because I tell people I don't care what the disease is.
Right.
Everything I give you will stop any disease.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what it is. And then, right, we do increase awareness so that we can optimize and specify. And it's the same exact thing here. So there is information to help us prepare for real alien contact. And by shifting our focus to prepare for that contact, it will automatically help us to avoid any negative happenings from nefarious human operations,
Right.
right? So we're always going to have warriors out there to fight the battle,
Right.
right? But and look, and if that's your choice, if that's what your passion is, then you go and follow it.
Right.
But if you just want to avoid all that, you don't want to think about it, there's other things to protect you, right? So you
Mhm.
raise awareness in order to shut down the fear. And then there's so many tools. Given I don't want to drop the other. I was going to mention Bashar, but maybe not yet.
Yeah. I'm definitely want to get into, but like maybe we should actually slowly make our way into
Yeah, well,
Bashar.
slowly. So we should finish. We were talking about the Anunnaki and the
Right. Yeah.
Sasquatch
Yes.
and where our heritage is. And I guess we concluded that so people understand what the Anunnaki came here. They modified our DNA, and then we evolved from that over the last several 100,000 years. And again, and we I guess we went on a tangent talking about how there wasn't really nefarious intention. It was not done to enslave us.
Right.
Now, with that being said, so I keep saying there's nothing to fear, but I should also acknowledge that all of existence is a balance of dark and light, good and bad. Because if in order for us to truly have free will, there must be both things. There must be this, kind of the polar opposites. And so, yeah, there are beings out there that had nefarious intentions, but as far as we go here on Earth, we're basically protected, and we really don't have anything to worry about. But you can manifest any fear you want because you are all powerful and you have free will. So
Right.
if you want to get eaten by some 14-eyed alien with 27 legs, maybe you can manifest that.
Right. Well, like it's like you actually made two really interesting points there. Like it's like one point like I wanted to address one of the things like you said earlier when it came to Sasquatch. I mean like why people these days like actually can't see them and like can't see these interdimensional beings like if you want to call them that. I mean like I was curious like, whether maybe this could be done deliberately, like in a sense, like it comes so like as we know, like when it comes to many of these toxins they're like a lot of them like are actually calcifying our pineal glands, which has actually been said to be like one of our spiritual connections. So like on the one hand, like it actually makes me curious whether the reason why people used to be able to like interact with these like beings like it was because like their consciousness like what was actually higher, like more on the other hand like maybe it's just like they weren't exposed to all these toxins, like their third eye was like more like open, and like if these other beings like are actually like oh like it's like higher realm and like maybe it's possible like if humans were actually able to elevate like their own like spiritual levels and whatnot, like maybe we'd be able to better connect with them. And then something else like then like you actually said like with regards like to manifesting whatever you want, I actually think like much as like actually gets like played on us by for instance the mainstream media, like I'm pretty sure like, you actually brought up this idea recently like when it comes like to the War of the Worlds radio broadcast.
Right.
It's like there was actually this like test like to see like how humans would react to this idea like of like an alien invasion. I mean like people were killing themselves, like people were going crazy during that. I mean like the whole thing was like completely fake. And then like speaking of which like I actually watched this really interesting movie slash documentary recently. It was called Level with Me. I mean like and they actually spoke about like this idea of like how the government like has had access like to all this hologram technology for all these for all these years, and like how this could be used like to create like so like fake alien invasion. But then like in the same breath, like, a lot of people like are so like brought into the mainstream news media. Like a lot of people like are so like brought into like science or scientism. So it's like it's almost like this way like manifesting this like need like for like this external savior as opposed to like what like people actually should be doing, which is actually disconnecting from all those things and like getting I mean like doing the inner work and actually connecting them with like their own highest selves. But like some of this like hologram technology stuff like is actually really crazy. And like I don't know whether you saw the movie Spider-Man Far From Home. Did you see
Oh
that?
yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's that happens to be one of my favorite movies. But like, speaking of which, the whole movie was actually centered on this idea of Mysterio using like some hologram technology, and like as I've learned recently, like a lot of Hollywood movies that actually use like this concept of like predictive programming and like to create certain things, and then like probably the most like interesting line like, of the whole movie, at the very end of the movie, like right before Mysterio dies, he actually says to Spider-Man, "People want to believe in something, and nowadays like they'll believe anything." It's like when you think about like it's actually possible for like these outer world concepts like these outer world things like it's almost like get us like manifest certain realities, and then we end up like getting trapped, and like we end up we end up, I don't even know like how to like word it properly. And we end up like manifesting things that actually aren't in our best interests.
Right, absolutely. We manifest our fears, and humans love drama. And basically, right, we're very emotional beings, and we're here to actually experience emotions. I mean, we do lots of crazy things. We go on roller coasters. We love to do things that generate fear, anxiety,
Right.
and to a certain extent, to a limited extent, this is healthy for us, right? And we can even relate that to diet, right? And the concept of hormesis, right? We need a little bit of stress to optimally function, right? And just to enjoy. We're here. We want challenges, and so we are drawn to kind of dramatic things. But right, we need to be careful that we're not manipulated by fear and people that want to manipulate us.
Right.
Right. So yeah, so it's really tricky. You know, we fall down these different rabbit holes,
Right.
and then you keep going. And so a lot of people, it's very hard for them to let go of something. You know, they fall in love with their own drama, so
Right.
to say. Right. So
Well,
it's complicated.
right. I'm like speaking with like Sam Tripoli, like one of my favorite podcasters. Like he's always talking about like this idea of like whenever like humans get like too like, comfortable, they almost start like creating their own drama, especially because even though like it's not natural for humans like to always be in like this fight or flight state, but like when humans like don't have that like at all, they almost start like craving it, and so it's like they almost start creating these fights like them like creating them like, over these quote unquote invisible enemies, and like the mainstream media like it was gonna play on people's fears, and so they're gonna make this whole virtue signaling over all these invisible enemies, like where like we actually need to spend billions of more dollars like to like fight off these invisible enemies without realizing that none of this like, is actually in our best interests.
Right. Right. Exactly. And we lose the ability to differentiate. So, for example, like you mentioned before about, the toxicity, but really from birth, it's not only the toxins, malnutrition, and our mind is basically imprisoned, but like the whole education system,
Right.
all of these systems are put in place to remove our power, because you're really unstoppable as a being if you can access your full power. So, and they're aware of that. They, right, the
Right.
power,
Yeah.
right. There is a they out there
Uh-huh.
that would like to control us and enslave us, so to say. But they're not aliens.
Right. Yeah.
They're just other humans. And so this threat is actually quite easy for us to overcome, and it's going to be overcome within the next few years. Actually, the end to our, I don't know, our enslavement by other humans.
Mhm.
Yeah, the end is approaching pretty quickly, actually.
Well, like this actually makes me the perfect like transition to go into Bashar. I actually made like an interesting jumping off point. Like may or may not lead us like into that direction. But like I was curious, like, what other abilities like do you think like humans actually possess like that have actually been like hidden from us? Like for instance, like it says like when it comes to channeling, as well as like what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word like?
ESP or
Yeah, yeah, so like ESP, like or also like communication with other humans, just by like connecting like energies and stuff like that, and also wait, what else was I gonna say? Wait,
manifesting
well,
the
like
power.
manifesting like 1000%, and then also wait, there was like one of the that I had like on top of my head,
Maybe telekinesis or something, or
telekinesis, that's a big one.
teleportation.
Right, yeah, yeah. So like in teleportation. Like, I was curious, like what other abilities do you
Right.
actually think do you actually
What
think
things await
humans
us?
like possess? Like and then the other one,
Longevity.
like the other one I was thinking of like was actually says like when it comes like to being able like bend a spoon like with like your mind and like you ever seen one of the Matrix movies, like it's one like girl like has like it's very like powerful like line when she's telling Neo how to bend the spoon. Like, she basically tells him that like the key to bending the spoon like is actually realizing like there actually is like no spoon. I mean it's all about like using like the power like of like your mind to like change like your reality. I might probably butcher that, but like I've definitely heard of many people out there like who take like classes like learn how to like bend the spoon.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go and watch YouTube. There's YouTube channels for learning how to bend a spoon. So
Right.
yeah, and basically you focus and meditate on the idea of spiraling energy, and then you can bend the spoon.
That's
And
so cool.
so yeah, so basically I can't tell you if there is a limit to what we are able to achieve. So for example, let's start out with like ESP. That's actually so well documented. Just look at animal communication. I
Hmm.
love to talk about Anna Brettenbach as my favorite animal communicator, or have your listeners go watch the documentary on the Black Panther or the Black Leopard Diablo, who later became known as Spirit. By the way, that leopard just passed away after living more than 20 years.
Wow.
But so animal communication will blow away anybody if they're not familiar with it. If because now we at this moment in our history, we have such a huge volume of video evidence. If you watch enough of that, it's just absolutely undeniable because you're seeing people that are being challenged, tested. It's it's just very clear that two-way communication with animals through ESP, they can be on the other side of the world. It doesn't matter. And so there are humans that do this. And again, we have scientific tests that can demonstrate ESP is a very real thing. There's like no way to even block it, right? So we have that ability, and it's just a matter, it's up to the individual to be able to raise their own frequency and clear their own mind and just learn how to do things like that. And just that alone is incredibly profound. And along all those same lines, for example, like the ability to access other dimensions or see beings that are now hidden from us, you can do that. You can gain. We all have the ability to access that power now. And you mentioned the name Bashar. He is here providing us teachings in all these different ways to help us develop that ability.
Right. So
Right.
like I was actually curious, like I've actually heard some people mention the idea like when it comes like Wi-Fi, like and like when it comes like it's like cell phones. Like my friend people like talk about like how like humans actually may possess the same like connected like, capabilities like to other humans, but like nowadays like we have like all this like technology like it's like do it like for us, and I'm like, is it possible like maybe hundreds of years ago or even like thousands of years ago, like, could humans like have been able like to communicate like through other means like
Yes,
I was curious what your
right.
thoughts are on that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We had those like, oh, look at all the shamans,
Right.
or the mythology of shamans.
Mm-hmm.
Not only communicated with other humans, but animals, plants, everything is alive.
Right.
So yeah, and we did, right. Many cultures that actually evolved separately still maintained those same abilities, right? Because we had those, and it's our modern cultures that have been suppressing all of that to the point that we don't even believe it anymore, right? The
Right.
common modern man doesn't believe these things are real. They don't believe in ESP. They don't believe in ghosts. Ghosts are also just other entities in the higher dimensions. So that's another whole
Right.
topic. You can
Yeah.
go down that whole path of the soul and a ghost spirit, etc. Um,
Do you think like ghosts like, could actually be part of what happens after death? Like, is it possible like some of these spirits like could actually be like still like with us, and like
yes,
maybe is it possible like certain spirits like didn't actually properly exit like
there.
this
Yes,
universe,
this is also
like
true, right?
right.
So that idea,
So it's like
we,
maybe this would like go alongside like of like trapped entities like that are actually still like with us.
right. So that is true. So all of us are eternal beings,
Yes,
right?
I'm fully agree with that.
Right. So we're just here playing a video game. This
Right.
is a very sophisticated video game, basically, right? So you're
Yes.
going to have another avatar after this life.
Right.
But sometimes when people leave this life, and actually you choose when to leave. Look, if you want to stay here for 900 years, you can do it. You have the power to overcome that physical limitation. All right. In fact, I can tell, Bashar will tell you exactly how many people that are here that are over 900 years old.
Really.
They are among us. Okay.
That's
And there's
incredible.
like some over 500. Yeah. So, but
Well, why do they only tell us like the longest you could be here is like 120 years, and then like your whole life declines at that point. But like,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
good question. But we are biologically set up for about 150 years.
mhm,
And so you when we come here and we choose this avatar, we chose it for a reason. We came here for a certain experience, and the human being or earthling, whatever we want to call it, is set up biologically to exist for 150 years unless we learn how to override certain things.
mhm.
And of course, the mind over matter allows you to do just about anything, and so you can overcome that. You can like rewrite your contract, so to say, if you achieve that awareness. Literally, you can, within a certain extent, because you came here to play a game. You agreed with everybody. It's a collective effort. So you agreed to play a certain role according to certain rules. And there are also parameters that allow you to break those rules sometimes. And you can go back sometimes and change even your collective agreement. So that's why I can't even put a limit on what powers are accessible. You
Right.
know, will I be breathing fire tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't. Is there a reason why I can't?
Right.
So we we can judge things with our current science, but our current science is infantile.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still infantile. We don't know things like, so other beings, they can just shoot around the universe in other dimensions. Um, like that's Bashar's people, when they're children, they do that for fun.
Right.
They get together with a group of them and they just say, okay, let's go visit other dimensions and come back and tell the story of what we saw.
All right, and that's probably the perfect time like for us to fully get into Bashar like and like his teachings and stuff like that. Like so, like I'm not really familiar with him. If you want to explain to me what he is like what he does and, like all like his teachings, and then like this way I can like react some of it.
Okay. Okay. So Bashar has been here for 40 years already. There's a human, Daryl Anka, is just a normal person. He actually works in Hollywood, has a normal job, but he's a channeler. And he's been channeling this entity known as Bashar for 40 years. Consistently, like every month, there is a transmission, they call it. And Bashar is a first contact specialist. So his sole purpose is to help us prepare for first contact. And I mean on a global scale and also on a personal scale. So the way it works is by helping to empower each individual more and more with techniques. And then each individuals have more and more first contact experiences. And then at some point, there will be a major event where, like, literally they will just be among us, open public, and the world cannot deny it anymore that we are not alone.
Right, and like speaking which, chance are like the government like was probably going to try to play on this like, with us, like and they may actually create like this whole fake alien invasion
Oh, right.
prior to the real thing like actually happening.
They are doing that. They
Right,
actually,
so like are you familiar with this idea of Project Bluebeam?
yes, but not. I'm familiar with a lot of things, so I
It's
mix them up.
right.
But there
Oh, sorry.
are fake UFOs.
Right.
So,
But then also like speaking, sorry to cut you off. Like, are you familiar with like these deep underground military bases?
yes,
Yeah, so like there's actually clear footage, like clear evidence, like there actually are like these fake UFOs, but like they're not actually coming from outer space. Like they're actually coming from like within our own underground,
they're
within our
here,
own
right.
underground.
And so there's a couple of things we should clarify on that.
Mhm.
This is not those military operations are not actually US military. They are not associated with any government. And so in fact, they have detained US military personnel
Really?
that have tried to interfere. So what's happened is these are rogue elements within government. They come from within government, within large corporations, but they are rogue elements. And it's very complicated. So trying to figure out who they are is complex. This is where the work of Dr. Greer and his coalition is unbelievable. If you want to understand that in depth, follow his work.
Mm.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a huge weekend event, and there's like a 3-hour video about it that will explain all that to you in great detail. And you will listen to military people, government people, generals. You will listen to high-ranking people from government and military speak on this from firsthand experience.
Wow.
So there are these rogue elements that have accumulated alien technology over the decades and are using it to make us believe that aliens are a threat.
Right.
Now, here's the good news, though. Let me give you the good news before people panic, okay?
Right.
Their attempt to scare us with the alien technology is backfiring because it's simply raising awareness about aliens. So the bottom line is the more UFO sightings we have, the more we become psychically prepared for an event, whether the event is good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with alien contact is no matter how benevolent the aliens' intentions are, if they show up and knock on your door, the psychic shock will be too traumatic. So this is why it takes so long. This is why Bashar has been taking 40 years. Eisenhower knew about it and wanted to let us know, and they said, you can't, it's too soon. Kennedy wanted to,
Right.
but they know it's too soon. We will not respond. We can't handle the truth.
Could that have been like one of the reasons that why the CIA took out Kennedy?
No, unfortunately, they took him out for the
Yeah.
wrong reasons.
Right.
But yeah, if he actually, if anyone had at that level, a president tried to release this information to us
Right.
previously, it would have backfired. You'd have global panic
Mm-hmm.
and uprisings, and we would self-destruct.
Right.
And so what you needed was, since the 1940s, once we set off the nuclear weapons, that's when this all began. That's when we start seeing the UFOs and everything that drew the attention.
Right.
And so now we just keep getting more and more experience. Word spreads, people talk. It's increasing our awareness and helping us to raise our frequency. And now we're getting to a point where there won't be as much psychic shock. And so we have to understand, like, even disregarding aliens. Oh, can you hear that noise?
No, I didn't hear
No,
anything.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
Got really loud over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, like
That was so loud I couldn't hear you.
Really?
Yeah, but it's okay. I don't know what that was. Something went by. I have my windows open. So I wanted to give you an example of this idea of psychic shock. Like if you get into a car accident, it's so shocking, most people can't even remember it. Right. So we have these self-defense mechanisms that's how it will respond. And as we know, severe shock like that, like even if you run into an animal in the wild up close, a gorilla, a bear, a lion, even if it doesn't want to hurt you, the terror for most people the shock will have a very negative physical impact, right? Like we have to be treated for shock. Right? It can be very dangerous, right? So it's a self-defense mechanism. But so this is the same thing. So now when the idea of having first contact with an extraterrestrial being or other dimensional being, that shock is way beyond anything we could experience here on Earth, because not only what you're consciously aware of the difference, but they are at such a different frequency. They give off such a different energy that our fight or flight response will be triggered very severely if we are not first aware and prepared. Right. So this goes back to what you were saying before about just being prepared.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing too with this podcast, right? We're helping people just consider the ideas, even if you don't believe us. Keep researching, look into it, right? Challenge us, get educated, because it's putting it into your mind, and you'll be less shocked, right? Because when it happens, you'll be like, wow, man, they weren't lying.
Right. Well, like speaking of it, like the past 2 or 3 weeks, like I've actually gotten so many nasty, like hateful comments towards me just from questioning this idea of land beyond Antarctica, and why we're only able to explore the penguins, and then why we're only able to see Rothschild Island and Deception Island, and meanwhile, as the findings of Admiral Byrd, as well as Captain Cook, showed us, Antarctica is actually this massive place, and most of it, we're actually not allowed to go to. That's actually a fact, but a lot of people hated on me. So I actually got some of the nastiest comments, for a reason, people aren't ready to hear some of the stuff, especially because people are so indoctrinated by the whole school system, just believe as they're told. It's not go anywhere beyond that. It's almost if you've ever seen the movie The Truman Show. Have you ever
Oh
seen that?
yeah, that's great. The
Yeah,
Truman Show is
so, like
hysterical.
speaking, it's like at one point, like when Truman is in like elementary school, the teacher says to him, so the teacher asks him what do he wants to be like when he gets older, and like he says like he wants to be an explorer, and like the teacher says to him like up like you can't be that all the lands like has already been like explored, but the crazy thing is like meanwhile just like a few weeks ago like the government like actually admitted to us they're like supposedly 20 new islands like off the coast of Japan have just been like discovered like for the first time. So like how far fetched like is it actually for there like to actually be like infinite land beyond Antarctica?
Well, no, well, it's not infinite. But I wouldn't say land beyond Antarctica, meaning like under, right? There's a lot of hidden underneath. This is I know you can't hear this, but I have like military jets flying over. I don't know what's going
No
on. I've never
way.
heard this before. I'm living out in the countryside, and there's like
That's
suddenly a military exercise going on
could
here.
these people be listening to our conversation? Is
It's
that possible?
right. Let's get the conspiracy
Yeah,
theory.
yeah. That's crazy. That's like
So
that's
funny. Yeah.
bizarre.
Sorry about that.
Mhm.
You can't, but yeah, I can't hear myself talk.
Oh, I'm like
So I was
I
going
can
to
actually hear
say,
you perfectly.
yeah, I wanted to say in one way maybe to protect yourself a little bit is just with some of the wordplay.
Mhm.
So, for example, I mean, there's always going to be haters out there, no matter
Right.
what.
Yeah.
But you know, look, haters are great because they bring conversation and attention, and they raise your views.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really funny. So bring on the hate. It
Yeah.
actually helps us to get the word out.
That's true.
You know, yeah, you get less suppression that way. It helps you with the algorithms.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so the haters are great. But so one thing I would say, like, stay away from flat Earth. The Earth is round.
I don't know. I'm
I
actually
can tell you absolutely. I
I'm
mean, as a
actually
science, hmm?
I'm actually not convinced in that, like especially because hear me out. So like first off, water can actually curve. Second of all, I don't know if you're familiar with like two government operations, Operation Fishbowl, like as well as like Operation Dominic. Both times the government like was actually trying to break through the firmament. Like there's actual footage like actually shows like there's some odd like dispersion happening. And also,
So
and
yeah, well,
also,
all right, wait, but let me cut you off a little bit because you know the expression statistics never lie, but
right,
liars use statistics.
right.
You know that, right? It's the same with all of science. If someone wants to believe the earth is flat, they can spend 10 lifetimes finding scientific experiments to demonstrate that the earth is flat.
Mm.
But it's so easy to prove it's not flat. So I'm pretty hardcore in the science. So I can tell you just by calculating how, you know, the trajectories of communications around the globe and stuff like that. There's so many things that just flat out show that it's round. And
But like chances are like we're probably gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. But like one of the global main arguments like is actually says you have like gravity. But like how do you explain why gravity holds in all of the Earth's oceans? Like but like meanwhile humans like are perfectly fine to move. Like birds are able like to fly away. Balloons could like float up in the air. And so like a lot
but that works perfectly according to all the physics. We don't even, we only, it works even according to Newtonian physics.
but like gravity's actually never been proven.
No, but it's easy to do that. Like the mathematics work out perfectly to predict everything. And so, but I can give you the really short answer is Bashar tells you flat out the earth is round, just like every other celestial body. So there is no, why would every single planet around us, everything in the sky is round except for the earth?
So it's like my answer to that like might actually be like
But wait. Hold on one second.
all
I'm
right,
going to close
all
my
right.
windows because
Uh-huh.
the noise is incredible. One second.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is incredible. There are F-18 Hornets flying around my house.
What? Actually?
Unbelievable. I want to like flip the screen and show you. It's
Wait,
unbelievable.
how is that possible?
I really don't know. I gotta hang
There's
on
some
a second.
there's some conversation like it must be getting way too deep.
Wait, yeah, we'll have to like. Oh my God, this just freaked me out. Hang on a second.
Uh-huh.
Of course, now they're gone.
Uh-huh.
I can't believe it was the noise was so insane. You're not gonna be able to see it.
Yeah,
There's too much. Wait,
I can't really see it.
you're okay on time?
Yeah. So like at 1:30, I have my haircut. I'm like I'm outside that anytime before then I'm good.
All right. Of course, as soon as I get up to take a look, it goes away.
Right. That's like really crazy though. Like the government like must be listening into this conversation or something.
Yeah, they're like, okay, he stopped. We can pull
We
back.
know it's probably like, time to release the murder hornets. Once again, like, it's probably gonna be something like we're gonna like have to agree to disagree on. Like it's probably gonna make more sense like to move on after this. But like I definitely want to send you some stuff like may actually at the very least like
wait. Sorry. I want you to see this. Hang on. Sorry, I apologize.
it's okay.
I give up. It's so loud, I can't even hear you speaking.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, literally, I had the windows open and fighter jets are going by.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable. I should have recorded the noise separately with my.
Yeah. So
Okay, so wait, let me just plug this back in. Hang on a second.
So
go ahead.
as
I'm
I was
sorry.
saying, like this is probably gonna be something like we're gonna have to like agree to disagree on. Like, but like, I definitely want to send you some interesting stuff. Like at the very least, like may get you questioning. This says
No, okay, but yeah, you have to realize I've been around for a long time, right? So I'm 59 years old.
mm.
You're not the first person to challenge me on flat Earth.
All right.
And I love physics. But more importantly than that, even my opinion doesn't matter. Bashar, so for example, talking about things like Sasquatch and aliens is even more difficult to accept. So if we cannot accept a more basic fundamental idea that the earth is round, that undermines our ability to believe in far more crazy ideas.
I don't think so. I actually think this belief actually opens me up to more ideas. Like man, also it actually connects me closer to God. Especially because it actually shows me that we didn't all just like randomly land here through this whole like Big Bang, which has never been proven. And like I don't believe like the Earth is like 4.6 billion years old or whatever. But like it actually shows me I'm actually here for a purpose, and I'm actually it's like divine being, and that like I'm not just like this like mistake who's like landed here accidentally, and also like going along these same lines. So like I'm not doubting this idea like there are interdimensional beings. Like there are like other like realms, like as well as like as I was saying before, like I fully believe there's actually land beyond Antarctica. That's like what I believe this whole idea when it comes to like extraterrestrial actually means. Like I feel like a lot of people like who are in like the same boat as me are actually more open to like some of these concepts as opposed to people like who've just been purely indoctrinated by the whole school system like who are just like believing whatever they're told.
Critical thinking. I mean,
right.
Yeah. Critical thinking is very good, right? So we want to challenge everything. So,
right.
But for someone, if someone believes in flat Earth, they need to do more critical thinking because there is a lot of science that in engineering. So, meaning everything, the way we engineer everything for communications and such, it takes all that into consideration, right? So, like in the Air Force, I was a wideband satellite communication specialist.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing microwave communications, you're doing line of sight communications. You have to calculate for the curvature of the Earth.
Well, like speaking with some, have you ever used them any type of sextant, like especially because like the sextant will actually show people so like in order for a sextant like to actually work, you actually need like a triangle like with them two flat sides. I mean, so like, this is like wouldn't work like if there was actually any curve.
No, but it worked because for your local, the Earth is so large, right? you can't observe the curvature when you're too close, right? It's huge, and we're just little tiny specks. Right? For every argument, if you pursue long enough and deep enough, you'll find that all the arguments fall apart in the end. And it doesn't mean that, like everything else you said is still true. You know that you're special. Let me give you something else, because you touch upon religion. Bashar actually validates all the religions and people like Buddha and Christ and Krishna and Muhammad and Moses. He actually gives us information on those beings from our past.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that over time, we have distilled and distorted so much of what they tried to bring us, right? So you've got you've got so many different religions that are all fractured and disagreeing with each other. But the bottom line is, in reality, they actually all agreed. And the people that started those, they were trying to bring us the same message in different ways, right? And a lot of it is innocent. We misinterpret things, and our zealotry takes hold sometimes. So there's a lot to take in, right? When you start going down and start asking all these questions, there's a lot of things. And I mentioned to you that I would avoid discussing flat Earth because, yeah, it's going to just bring you a lot of haters. And that discussion does not fall in line with all of the other discussions. And I understand why there's a lot of zealotry around people that believe in flat Earth, tie it to the Bible, and the idea of being special and unique is great. But we don't need the Earth to be flat for Earth to be a special place, right? We don't need it to be flat.
I definitely do agree with that statement. So I totally agree. Whatever shape the Earth is, we could still be special. But my personal belief, is that much of that worldview, it's portrayed onto us, is actually about disconnecting us from God, and disconnecting us from our higher spirit. And to be honest, a lot of people can get so mad at me for asking these questions. But the thing is, I don't care whether or not someone agrees with me on it, disagrees with me on it. But if I'm not allowed to ask these questions, and have people respond respectfully, and truthfully, we're never gonna find common ground. We're never gonna and be able to talk about anything. That's one of my issues when it comes to this idea of censorship. When you're immediately shutting people down, and not even giving them a platform to speak, it's you're never gonna be able to actually arrive at any truth. So it's always suppressing viewpoints, or just immediately shutting someone out right away without even giving them any type of chance. State why they believe what they do. It's just I don't like this idea when people get threatened by someone presenting a viewpoint that's different from their own. It's just people with any of these topics, within a holistic health topic, with any type of truther based topic. Right. So even though a lot of us may not ever be able to 100% verify some of these things, it's just in the same breath we do need to be open to them, because otherwise we're gonna end up limiting ourselves. We're gonna end up cutting ourselves off from potential truth, and then in the same breath we're never gonna be able to move forward as
right. Yeah, you have to. One of the most important things, and one of the secrets to life, is you have to follow your passion.
Right.
So at this point, let's say if at this point in your life, your passion is the debate on whether or not the world is flat or round, you follow that passion with an open mind,
right?
Because that will lead you to the next thing. And so, and another secret to life is that you follow your passion without any expectation or insistence. It must be open to the truth.
Right.
Always. And that's how you find actually your next step.
Right.
So you go, so for example, in wellness, right? For decades, I thought I knew what I was talking about, with wellness. And then I was like, oh my God, this is completely wrong. And you go, okay, now I have it. Oh no, this is completely wrong,
Mm-hmm.
until I found Dr. Weston Price, which was like
Right.
decades after, I was midlife, while I found his work. And I was like, oh my God, this is the holy grail,
Right.
But I spent decades being absolutely wrong about dietary issues because I was convinced by our scientific experts on nutrition, telling us no fat, no
Mm-hmm.
salt, but, all not complete nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's true. You have to follow your passion. You have to be allowed to speak out. The reason why, though, I wanted to try to discourage you on that topic is because, as you noticed, there are a lot of haters out there.
Right.
It's kind of volatile, but you should, right? You still have to pursue it to your own
Mm-hmm.
logical conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But be careful about zealotry. Make sure
Right.
you're not wearing blinders, because the people that believe in it so passionately, it's like their religion.
Right.
They're going to blind you because they want you to be an ally,
That's
right?
interesting.
So you just want to be really careful if you go
Mm-hmm.
there. And for me, like I said, in the I don't want to get into that argument with
Right.
people, right? And like right now, I want to present like Bashar to you.
Right.
Um, when you get a trusted source, so and I challenge Bashar too. There are things I can challenge him on,
Mm-hmm.
because there are some things we misunderstand due to context,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we say, hey, that guy said blah blah blah, but then that guy says, no, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
take that with context. So sometimes we have misunderstandings, we misinterpret things. But like the flat Earth, round Earth thing is, there's very little room for misinterpretation there, right? It's a pretty black and white, yes or no.
Well, we may have to agree to disagree on that one then.
Yeah. That's okay. We can leave that. We'll just leave that to the
But like one closing statement like I want to make like with regards to that subject is like so like I'm actually totally open to being proven wrong. Like I haven't seen any evidence that actually shows me anything that actually would be proven wrong. And then like also like going along those same lines, like we may never actually know what like the exact shape like of this realm actually is. But like as like someone like who I had on the podcast recently, Chance Garden, like as he was actually saying, like one of the best ways like to find truth, like is actually to first establish like, what it's not. Like and like something else like he was also saying is like it's actually more powerful than like most people realize to actually be in this like I don't know camp as opposed to like zealotry for like one side like because of then you're like getting into nasty arguments like
Mhm.
I mean like chances are like not a person like is probably ever gonna like change their is ever gonna fully come to your side. Like it's important like to always be open like with everything and just to be respectful of what everyone believes and because being able like to say I don't know like for 100% sure is actually better than like going along with like any lies and more on the hand like just going along with something just because everyone else is like is like telling you to do that. Like, I would always rather be someone like who got canceled or who got all this hate like for him standing up like for what I believe in as opposed to someone like who just goes along like to just like avoid those things.
Yeah, it's like I mean, similar to religion, right? Again, underneath it all, people are in agreement, but they have to
Right.
use the things that are comfortable for them.
Mhm.
You've got, so for example, people can say, look, I don't care if it's square, round,
Right.
flat, a triangle, it don't matter to
Mhm.
me. I live on this small patch
Right.
and I travel around and I'm just enjoying my existence.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we don't have to, but yeah, if you're drawn to that discussion,
Mhm.
pursue it, because it's just, and again, that's the secret to life. You follow your passion to the best of your ability,
Mhm.
without insistence or expectation, until it leads you to a new passion.
Right.
And then you follow that.
Right.
That's like
Totally.
Shar's guidance.
Mhm.
That is like the secret formula to life.
Mhm.
You just follow your passion. And yeah, because everything serves a purpose. You never know what you learn along the way.
Right.
And a lot of times your passion is going to lead you through, or into a rough patch of grass,
Uh,
the journey can be really hard,
mm,
but that's what we're here for. I mean,
right,
if it's all peaches and cream and there's no challenge, you'd be bored. Why would we be
right.
here? If we go into a video game and there's nothing happening in that video game, well, you're not going to play it. You
Mm,
want a challenge, right?
right. Right, and so like speaking with, I am fully believe like I'm not like all of us are like all of us like are here like it's like feel for God and then like to be this like vessel like show others that like what I'm capable of like there's definitely so much like learning and like downloading of information like happens like during like each human experience and like as you're saying before maybe it's possible like maybe we all like past life experiences and like maybe in this realm like it's all about like getting rid of like your karmic debt and like there's like so many other like possibilities that are, like out there but like one thing like that we do know is like at some point like experience everything like for yourselves and like it's not like deny yourself any experience like just because like, it might be challenging or it might be difficult.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, there are infinite reasons why you're here and infinite things to
Right.
experience, and it all has a purpose. So there's another really great expression that Bashar says, and this could actually offend some people, but he says, life is absolutely meaningless. Meaning, you give it the meaning. You decide the meaning that it has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should not react negatively to situations or circumstances or blame them. It's up to us to interpret the meaning of everything that happens here.
Right.
And
Well,
that's what sets us on our path. The way we interpret our experience is what determines where our next step is.
right.
So it's inherently meaningless. We have all the power. You give the meaning to your life and every little element in it. So whatever serves you now doesn't matter what other people think. I
Uh,
mean, like maybe we need to attract the hate sometimes,
right.
you know, because you just never know. You never know who it's going to introduce you to, et cetera. There's just infinite possibilities.
Well, like one way, like that I actually like to interpret my whole health journey. I mean, like my whole my whole life learning illness, like and all and like all of my healing journey, like that I've been on for the past like 8 plus years.
Mm.
So like I actually see it like as like making meaning out of my struggle. Like I mean, I've actually found my purpose by going through it. Like I mean, like I've been finding like ways like, to inspire people, like ways to show people like that anything is possible. But like so much like so much like what I went through. So like other people like may have seen this like as like being the worst thing that could ever happen to them. I'm like I actually see it like always like a blessing. Like it's actually been like this opportunity for me to like have like this platform and like to experience life like in other ways like otherwise like most people like never have the chance like to experience like anything like that I've been through. I mean like I've been able like to gain like this like appreciation for life so much more. I mean like I've been able like it's like as hard as like some of the down moments have been like I've also experienced like some like the most incredible things like
Mhm.
life has to offer. As like a result like I mean, like once again like this doesn't mean like everyone has to go through like a near death experience like in order to like to feel this
Right.
way. I'm like having said like maybe this is like part of my whole spiritual path and I'm like maybe this is like part of like what I am signed up for like when I actually came into this world.
Right, right. The greater the challenge you have to overcome, the greater the reward.
Right.
The more the insight, the more you actually experience from life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we need those things. So yeah, we really should be grateful to the challenges
Mm-hmm.
that we are given, even while it can be so traumatic and we can be hating it in the moment. Really, in the end, once we get to the point of retrospect, we're like, wow,
Right.
unbelievable what that gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the things that I learned because of that, the things I experienced, and even like, the more sorrow that you experience, the more you appreciate joy.
Mm-hmm.
There's this other great expression, like the further you pull back into the darkness, the further you will be shot forward into the light.
Right. I love that.
So
That makes perfect sense.
yeah, and it's very, very true, right? So all the things you go through are just we should be grateful for all of them, no matter how horrible or hideous they are.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of good things coming. So
Yes.
actually, the world is, believe it or not, it gets worse before it gets better.
Right.
Right. So we're going to continue to go through insanely crazy things on a global scale until a few years from now. Wow, it's going to be unbelievable.
Do you think though? Do you think though, on the other side of all this craziness, though, there's actually some like amazing times, and also maybe you could even interject some of Bashar's teaching, show why you have this faith, and this belief, on the other side of this craziness, is actually going to be this amazing time.
Oh yeah. So well, I have faith in Bashar because when I came across him, because
Mm,
I've reviewed a lot of channelers and mystics and stuff over the years, and they're mostly they're either fake or they're irrelevant because they're too nebulous and
mm,
they speak kind of in circles or it's not concrete enough.
right.
So, but when I came across Bashar, now at this point, he has 40 years of information he's been giving us. He talks about physics, he talks about everything, and he is never wrong. So, what I started to realize, if you listen to him for 5 minutes or even 30 minutes, you could walk away and think, oh, that's nonsense. This is ridiculous. But if you force yourself to listen for at least several hours or more and start to challenge everything he says, he's never wrong. And this
So,
guy,
do you have any specific examples of this?
yeah. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you a really controversial example. COVID. Now, he can't predict or tell us the future, although he can with 90 to 95% certainty.
Mm-hmm.
He's not allowed to tell us most things. He's not allowed to interfere with our destiny. Kind of the prime directive from Star Trek is very real. So they really don't want to interfere because they don't want to interfere in our free will.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's allowed to, he will tell us things. And prior to 2020, the whole entire year leading up to that, now he does a transmission every month. He does like a 2-hour thing every month. And what he did was a series telling us that a storm was coming like nothing we've ever seen. It is coming in 2020. Be prepared. What you need to do is stay in the eye of the storm, try to ignore it, try to stay out of the way.
Right.
He gave us tons of very specific guidance. And I mean, right up to it. And then it was upon us, and
Did you start following him prior to 2020?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Um, so, and the other thing now, of course, it's easy for me to believe Bashar because he validates my own beliefs.
Right.
So I was already in agreement.
Mm.
That's because Bashar is telling us what our ancient ancestors have been telling us also for thousands of years. So he's in agreement with just about everything else. So my understanding and my beliefs on reality, which I learned from Eastern philosophies and quantum physics, all line up with what Bashar says. Everything, right? So I'll give you the basic argument against quantum physics 100 years ago. Quantum physics, the original interpretation said consciousness is required to create reality. Einstein was like, no way, man. He didn't agree. And most physicists would not accept that. And so they other interpretations of quantum physics. But the
Right.
original one, the Copenhagen interpretation, is the only one that never fails. Never, ever, ever. It's unbelievable. And it predicts insane, crazy, weird science. But it's correct. Now, all the Eastern philosophies also talk about this idea that reality is non-local, which agrees with what Plato's allegory of the cave. Here, we are just shadows on a wall. The ultimate reality is from somewhere else. So you can tie these ideas to like all the religions and everything else. But basically, the Western mind, Western philosophy, Western science treats our physical reality like a machine. This is all there is.
Right.
Right. And whatever quantum physics says is nonsense. We just don't understand that. But this is all there is. Wrong. This is not all there is. And Bashar confirms that for us too, precisely. Right. It explains many things. So he validates a lot of what quantum physics talks about. He validates, I'll give you a couple of different examples. I hate string theory in quantum physics because it tries, the motivation behind it was to create a deterministic worldview by saying that particles are strings.
Ism string theory, can you explain what string theory actually means?
It's a theory in quantum physics. But so what it does is the original interpretation of quantum physics is that, a point particle is actually, there is nothing there. When you get down to it, it's just pure energy. String theory says that no, there is like this particle, but it's not exactly a particle. It's like strings. Like imagine a guitar has 6 strings, but this is a string of like 17 dimensions.
So I was just curious, like, there's some idea like having it overlap, like when it comes to the ether.
No, the ether is a different thing. Yeah.
Right.
So the idea of the string theory is to give a material form to the smallest atomic particle.
Right.
Saying it's a string and that's where all the energy comes from.
It
kind of makes really cool sense, but it's wrong. Except string theory introduced us to the idea of other dimensions, which quantum physics doesn't really address outside of that because it doesn't need to actually. But Bashar confirms that yes, there are many other dimensions, and for example, this is and we are actually in the process of moving or gaining the ability to access other dimensions or see other dimensions, right, as we evolve. So we get something from there. And then there's another quantum physics theory. Oh my gosh, I just forgot the term for it. Not the multiverse theory, the many worlds theory. Sorry.
Oh, like the simulation theory, and what are you thinking?
No, that's the holographic theory. Those are, yeah.
All right.
So, so the many worlds theory says that there are infinite parallel universes, right? But again, the motivation for the many worlds theory was kind of wrong because it was still trying to create a deterministic model,
right?
But it's actually also correct. There are infinite parallel universes. So Bashar will give us these. He gives us these things.
How does he prove that though?
Not proof, but he explains. So what he explains does not contradict what we know. So it matches. So the things he explains matches other things that we know in quantum physics. I'll give you another example. Because the holographic one too, but not that we need him to validate that, but that's partially correct to how nature works, So these things, holographic theories and the different theories in quantum physics, they're all partially correct. And so what he said, and we can line these up again with Eastern philosophies, even Plato.
Right.
But our general idea or Aristotle's view or the view that there is only this universe and the Big Bang, that's all nonsense. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's incorrect. There's far more than what we can detect with our current science.
Mm.
Far, far more. Another thing too, which makes perfect sense with quantum physics, the ability for us to travel through space. We can just, the idea of teleportation, the way it's possible is actually very easy.
Like speaking of which, like, have you ever seen what's it called? The newest Doctor Strange movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a lunatic for the Marvel movies.
Same here. Like, so like speaking of that movie, like when it comes to of what's her name? The Scarlet Witch or the Scarlet Widow. And like, if you remember, like during that movie, she's able like to like, travel through her dream state, like, and like she's able like to access like these other like lives and stuff like that. Like, I was curious. Like, do you think like maybe there could be any type of legitimacy, like
Yes, that is more
when it comes
real than you think.
yeah,
Yeah,
so yeah, so like, I would definitely love to hear you go in some of this stuff.
yeah. So absolutely. For example, like when you sleep, your astral body will leave
Right,
and go to school, for
right,
example, or go
right.
learn other things. So there are shamans and stuff that do dream walking and things like that.
Right, and like, that stuff is like so interesting. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's all real.
mm,
And you've got people out there, you can probably even find on YouTube people talking about how one guy went to visit the other guy in his dream.
that's
Lucid dreaming is
right.
insane too.
Yeah, what do you think this idea of lucid dreaming like actually is? So it's like, do you think like your dream state like is actually real? In a sense, like could you be like in like some other realm when you're actually dreaming?
Yeah, so there are multiple answers to that because your dream state is closer to your natural state than your waking state. This is the dream. We
Right,
are in the dream. We are just in a dream now,
right,
basically, right? So the consciousness, your let's say, what word should we use? We can use the soul or
right.
speak,
Yes.
you know, your higher self.
Mhm.
Your higher self creates this avatar, this
Mhm.
life, it creates everything, right? So this is basically a dream. When you go to sleep, you're actually closer to the higher self. And now many different things can go on. So there are some dreams, and what's interesting is your physical brain is limited on how it can interpret what's happening in the higher mind.
Right.
And so your dreams will be really crazy. These are just interpretations. You're not really your physical brain is not able to properly communicate what you are doing in your higher states of mind. But while you're sleeping, you can also have out of body astral experiences,
Mhm.
right? Where you can literally, the physical body is sleeping, now your attention has gone completely somewhere else. And Bashar will even talk about this idea that you literally go and take like courses, what we might interpret as a course.
Right.
You do other things, you learn other things. Um,
That's
you,
really cool.
yeah, it's amazing. And
Mhm.
so the amazing thing is there are like infinite things going on, and we can learn eventually to make a connection, to become more and more aware of those experiences. And so lucid dreaming is one of these more basic things, the idea of training yourself to become aware. So I
Mhm.
did this, I was very into the idea of lucid dreaming, and so I taught my daughter, one of my cousins, and I was like, look, you never have to be afraid in your dreams. You just, if you're afraid, you just remember, this is my dream. I do
Right.
want, right?
Right.
And so you'll have an experience, but you can just become, you know, you could become Captain America, or Thor or whatever, whatever superpowers you want, you just do whatever you want, or just wake up if there's something unpleasant. You just
Mhm.
wake. Um, so you lucid dreaming, and again, there are many, many other things, right? So we in our world, in this world, we have all these definitions, but they're very limited
Mhm.
on different people's experiences. And there's no limit. This is the
Right.
thing, there's no limit. So the things we learn are just, those are the things that we happen to agree on right now in this moment,
Right.
right? And what we've developed language for. But who knows? Like I
Mhm.
said, there can be there are people out there that have been here for hundreds of years
Right.
and that do all kinds of insane things, that communicate with animals and other beings or other entities, or look at the
Mhm.
channeling experience, or talk to the dead.
Mhm.
Um, it's, I could even mention, the emotion code.
Right.
When I do emotion code sessions, now I don't see this, but you can, um, other, like, there are people that like see the dead, for example, right?
Mhm.
And if there have been situations in a group setting where, like, Dr. Nelson was doing emotion code sessions, and when he released inherited trapped emotions from an ancestor, the ancestor was showing up
Wow.
on stage.
That's incredible.
So showing up only for the people that could see that,
Right. Yeah.
right? Now, for me, when that happens,
Mhm.
if so there have been times where I release like three inherited trapped emotions from the same ancestor.
Mhm.
My emotions, like, I like feel the energy, man. I'm like in tears.
Mhm.
I feel like that ancestor is here. Not that I don't have that kind of ability, but for me, there is an intense emotional experience.
Right.
And I actually asked that ancestor to help when that happened. Like, wow, you must still be here.
Mhm.
If you can, then. So all those types of things, all of these different states of existence,
Mhm.
we have access to from here, right?
Right.
So we can develop abilities or work with other people. We have access to all these other states of existence, and there are states of existence that we don't even know how to define yet.
Mhm. Like something that's actually really interesting, like when it comes to actually connect two of our main topics, like like something like I've actually found like really interesting, like ever since like I begun my real healing journey, like ever since like I found you, like ever since like I've been like healing holistically, like ever since like I've been detoxing all this stuff, I've
Mm.
actually like, 'cause, like my dream state like has actually exploded. Like, you can even hear me like it's like whenever I talk to my best friend James, like whenever I'm telling him some of the dreams I have, he has like no idea like what I'm talking about. Like my definitely feel like in some way maybe like the detoxing like, is almost like opened up my spiritual realm for me and so much more
I'm sure.
and then like as a result so like maybe by detoxifying and just like helping the brain out and stuff like I've actually experienced like all these things and like most humans these days have like zero access to like because like they're always like full of all these like toxic inputs man like a lot of people like actually altering their mindset through drugs through alcohol it's like a lot of people like almost like shutting themselves off to like
Right.
this some powerful like world like it's actually like we're actually all capable like of like entering I guess you could call it so there's definitely something to like these toxins like shutting down like certain like abilities like that like all of us like
Mhm.
possess.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. The toxins are a really big thing. In fact, I can tell you, Bashar says that flat out. He says, look, 99% of your issues are because of toxicity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's it, period. 99. I mean, he uses, I think he says 99, maybe 99.9. He said,
Wow.
he to emphasize. And so like even I, right, I often say, look, I'm a nutritionist, but I have to acknowledge that toxicity is the number one problem because it
Right.
can block your ability to absorb the nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to detox. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, some of the nutrition is helping us to detox, but
Mm-hmm.
we really need to focus. We need help. And yeah, so I'm not surprised by your experience, right? As you clean up, right, your dream state becomes more
Right.
crazy, vivid. Yeah.
It's
So yeah, I'm glad to hear that too. So,
yeah.
and I know, feel like your journey is incredible. And I mean, what you've achieved and, and what you do is amazing. And I
Thank
and I know, of course, you're still trying to overcome, a couple of
right.
obstacles, but those things might be here for a reason.
Um,
Your higher mind might be holding on to those because they are serving you.
like I'm actually starting to like think that way and more. It's like
Right.
it's actually it's like weird like dilemma. Like I'm almost in like especially because I'm obviously want to feel all better. Like I'm obviously want to sound all better. I'm like maybe it's possible like my higher mind is like waiting for from something else. Whether it be me to inspire like certain people
Right.
something like like maybe like me having these issues like is actually here at this time perfectly like maybe I'm actually starting to realize how like overall like in the grand scheme of things these issues like haven't stopped me like in the slightest I've been living my life like to the fullest like obviously there's definitely plenty of challenges like I've actually but like as I said like recently on like one of my other episodes I was actually saying like I've almost like stopped seeing these as like disorders like and I started seeing them more as just like daily challenges so I can overcome every day and once again would my life be easier if like I was just like fully healed now obviously I'm like in the same breath I fully believe like there has to be like some type of divine reason and like higher
Yeah.
self like reason like why I'm still like experiencing these things. Like maybe like until like I reach a certain point I'm in like my spiritual growth or like whenever I'm inspired like enough people like through this and then maybe these issues will finally be released and like there's definitely some type of like higher power like some type of like issue like some type of like amazing things that are going on because I'm going through these issues. I'm not actually I'm in spite of them like and so like, these are actually perfect for me with like where I'm at right now and so like there's no
Mhm.
reason to even view them like as like disabilities or as like disorders.
Right, right. Yeah, it keeps motivating you to continue to do even more and
Right,
more. Yeah, yeah,
right,
it's really, yeah, like who knows, if you don't have that, you might become lazy.
right.
Yeah, and then, like look, like the athletic, levels that you've attained now
Mhm.
because you're continuously trying to improve yourself
Right.
and the more and more tools. So the other thing now is you're very young at this point in your life, right?
Mhm.
And the idea is for us as we go through these things, you're accumulating knowledge because of
Exactly.
these things, right?
Exactly.
And decades later, you're going to be able to pass that knowledge on,
Exactly.
right?
So much like of like what I learned like in like the past several years, like, I would have had no reason to learn any of
Right.
these things like had not been for anything that like I went through, which is why like I'm actually so like thankful in like this like weird way I'm actually thankful like for everything I've been through like especially because I don't become the person I am right now I don't gain all this knowledge it could actually be passed on it's like tons of people out there like had not been like for everything for like every challenge I've been through.
Right, right, yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this is a great way to look at things. It's a great outlook.
Hmm.
Appreciate everything, and again to keep moving forward without insistence. Say,
Right,
right, you look, it's going to happen. I'm going to overcome this
right.
whenever the time is
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
Until
Well,
then, it will serve me,
mhm.
right?
Right. Well, like speaking of like that's actually been like one of my favorite pieces advice like that you actually gave to me early on, which is like says like when it comes like to disregarding the time like that actually takes to
Yeah,
get me there. I'm just like knowing that like at some point or another I'm definitely gonna get there. As long as I continue doing everything like needs to be done, but not letting this like stop me by just like waiting until I get all better, so I can live my life like as best I can.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you're. I think we probably even have that in the first video we did together.
Probably, yeah,
Conversation
probably.
about time. Make time your friend, not your
Yes,
enemy.
yes,
Yeah,
and that's also been like one of my favorite like pieces of advice like that you gave to me.
cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, good, good. I'm glad that sank in. Yeah, very,
Yes.
very good stuff. What were there? Wow. So we were supposed to be focused on
Yeah,
extraterrestrials and
but like
stuff.
we ended up going like probably 200 different directions in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
Hopefully all the listeners find this interesting. Like, so far, like I've absolutely loved this conversation. Like even though
Mm.
like it's gone different ways, like we also like some like disagreement here and there. Remember, like totally fine. Like especially because like we obviously we obviously both like respect each other like so much. I obviously can't even say enough like how much like I appreciate like everything like you've done to help me with my whole healing journey and stuff. But like this conversation like has been like incredible. Like even though like it has gone 100 different directions.
Yes, yes. Did you have any more crazy questions you wanted to
Hmm.
ask about beings or Bashar?
So like I did make some notes. So like let me just see if I have anything else. I think we definitely covered most of them what I had
Mm,
planned here. It's like
cool.
I'm trying to think if there's any other comments when it comes to like other beings. I'm like
The Bermuda Triangle, mermaid.
more like I'm actually thinking like maybe should be like say like some of the stuff like come on for like
We'll do another one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
especially because like when like overwhelm everyone too much, and
Yeah.
especially because like we covered so many out there topics today.
Yes.
this is like especially if someone like isn't like ready to hear this stuff. Like once again, like as I've learned, you definitely can't please everyone. I mean, like no matter what you do,
Right,
you're gonna have
right.
people hating on you. You're gonna have people leaving nasty comments. I fully believe like I'm having a conversation like this like is honestly so important. Like at the very least like give people questions to ask. I mean like give people like more things to like look into for themselves. Like I mean also like to give them more knowledge. Like a lot of people like wouldn't have ever stumbled upon like had they otherwise not come to our pages. So
Right. Right.
like we're definitely gonna have to we're definitely gonna have to do like multiple parts to these concepts like especially because like I would definitely love to get into like the Bermuda Triangle like
Okay, cool.
some of these other wild topics there out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll do that. We'll do some more, and we'll break them off into little smaller pieces,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
a little
yeah,
more
definitely.
focused.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's,
definitely.
I guess, yeah. Hopefully, you'll get feedback and you'll get ideas for additional questions from
Right.
people,
Hopefully.
whether they hate
Right,
or love
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm bound to get them some more hateful messages. But like
It's
at
good though.
least at least now I could be prepared for them. Like especially because like now I see like like what topics bring out like the
Right,
most hate from people. And I'm like as far as is like to keep going through that as like we were saying before, like, this is all part of my path. So like I fully believe like this is all part of like following my purpose. And so like my can't let like some nasty hateful comments like stop me from at the very
right,
least
right. You
asking
can't.
these questions.
Right, exactly, exactly. Like I said, you be grateful for the hate too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Grateful for any
Yeah.
attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, like I want to thank you so much for from having this conversation. This has been incredible.
Thank
So
you.
like if you want to tell my followers where they could find you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The easiest way is vitagenics.me. I guess you can see my,
Like speaking with like I actually have that like as my first link
okay. Yeah. And then my YouTube
in all
channel.
my descriptions. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
definitely check out his YouTube channel for sure.
yeah, they could search for me by name or search for Vitagenics. They should find my YouTube channel.
Right.
I got a lot of content. TikTok might be better
Yeah.
because I've got some videos on TikTok that I can't get onto YouTube.
Really.
Yeah, same. Well, recently I've had some trouble. Yeah, I've had some stuff pulled from YouTube.
Really.
Yeah, and so I got to start going to Spotify.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Like the whole thing is like I'm obviously trying my best, like say on YouTube, like especially because like it's definitely the most mainstream platform. I mean, so like if we don't,
right,
I mean, definitely don't want to get pulled down from there. But like in the same breath, like it's always good to have like backups. Like and it's always good to have like other
right,
options. But like I try my best like to use as many code words as possible. I try to like I can go around like certain topics. Like like in the same breath, like I don't want to be I'm self-censoring myself like more than I have to. Like, so like it is important like to be on every platform. It's just it's way of like I'm getting my message out there.
yeah, yeah. That's excellent. I think that's great. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
doing a much better job than me at getting your message out there. I
thank you.
got to do a better job.
And like it definitely hasn't been easy. I'm like I've definitely been putting in like a ton of work, and so like hopefully it's all paying off.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. You know, this is one of the best investments you can do by creating your own content channels, your own streams.
Right.
You know, then it's investing in a YouTube channel is better than investing in a 401k.
Really.
Yeah, because you're imagine, well, assuming that they remain, right? That they,
Right.
once you get a revenue stream going,
Right.
it's you just think just slowly growing it over time, and eventually it's like, wow, I can live off of
Right.
my content
That would be
now.
amazing. Like, that's the thing. One of my main goals is like to hopefully Wednesday be able like, to live off of that content.
Yeah, yeah, it would be yeah, like we should do some other stuff together in the future, maybe to highlight some products
Definitely, yeah.
that can help you with revenue
All right,
too. And of course helping your viewers
that'd be
by,
awesome.
yeah, so the more we because it's like you're kind of like on my team, for
Right,
example, or
yeah.
TerraCare and the
Mm-hmm.
PBX and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can help you to explain that to your clients, and then they can
Right,
purchase from you.
that'd be awesome.
And we both win. They don't have to purchase from me.
Right, and then also the other thing like it's always like scare me like it's like I never want to promote something like it's like a complete scam like and like I never want to
Right,
promote
right. It's
something
tricky.
like I don't agree with them. I'm like the amazing thing like when it comes like to touch on the sensors like when it comes like to the my TerraCare device these are things like I'm actually using. I mean like I'm actually benefiting from like so like I have no issue with promoting these things to people like especially because like I actually know from my own experience like all these things like, actually work.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. So we'll do
Yeah,
some podcasts on those,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
where we can address the products and even the ethics of what you're talking about and
Uh-huh.
stuff, and why it's good.
Like maybe one of these is like maybe we'd even be able to get on the founder of Touchstone. That'd be like really cool. Like
Probably,
Eddie Stone.
yeah, Eddie,
That'd definitely be
or
really
even
cool.
one of the people. Their Touchstone is great. They're actually
Uh,
very accessible.
yeah, yeah. Like
They're
all the
very,
like all their products like are more fully
yeah,
amazing.
they're like, yeah, absolutely one of my favorite
Yeah,
companies because
same here.
yeah, just like I can't believe how much transparency and like every little thing,
Right.
organic, and wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, they have not compromised, which is one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like one more thing like, before I might close up, like one other company I would definitely love to like have like on board one day would be Miller's Biofarm.
Who's Biofarm?
Miller's Biofarm. It's like I actually found them through the Reston Price website. And like their products like are absolutely incredible. That's actually where I buy them the raw milk from. Like that's where I buy them the
Nice.
kefir grains. Like that's where I buy like all these like all these other like amazing products from there. Like that's something another company
That's
that I love.
that's a great idea to highlight like the small farms and stuff.
Yeah.
I try to do that locally.
Right.
I haven't really done that on my social media platforms,
Mhm.
which is a good idea because right,
Right.
and
Yeah.
because everybody has different needs, right? Or they have maybe somebody near them,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Right, it's like, anyways, like we should probably even close this up now. Anyways,
yeah, yeah. We probably should, otherwise we'll talk forever. And
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
supposed to do a Zoom call for my Vitagenics group.
Oh wow.
I announced it will be delayed,
Oh,
so
okay. Awesome.
I'll
Well, like maybe you can tell everyone to check out this podcast like
oh, 100%.
when it ultimately comes out.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna tell him sorry. It was Jared's
yeah,
fault.
yeah, yeah. That's totally fine with me.